By 2050, millions of Americans will choose to live farther from everyone else. And some already beat the rush. We're told isolation is failure, but then there are towns with no roads, no cops, sometimes no neighbors. And people stay. What nobody tells you is isolation doesn't always mean lonely. It can mean control, silence, even leverage. Today, we're counting down 10 American towns so isolated, people actually prefer it. From places with one resident to towns you can only reach if you really mean it. Surprisingly, one of them works better because it's cut off. Wait till you see that one. Question is, could you handle it, or would you tap out by week 2? Like the video if you enjoy learning things Zillow won't warn you about. Subscribe, because someday, this might be a survival skill. Let's break it down. Number 10. Tangier Island, Virginia. By 2050, Tangier Island is supposed to be underwater. But then you get there, and people are fixing crab pots like nothing's wrong. Tangier Island sits in the Chesapeake Bay, about 12 miles from the mainland, reachable only by boat or small plane. No bridge, no back road, no, I'll just run to Target. Roughly 400 residents live here, mostly watermen and their families. The island's famous for two things: soft-shell crabs and an accent linguists still argue about. It sounds vaguely British, vaguely Appalachian, and completely uninterested in your opinion. Life moves slow, on purpose. The grocery store closes early. The church schedule matters more than the news cycle. Isolation here isn't a bug, it's the operating system. Here's the math nobody sugarcoats. Tangier has lost over 2/3 of its landmass since the 1800s. Erosion and sea level rise chew away at it year by year. Some estimates put land loss at several acres per decade. Jobs? Limited. The local economy leans heavily on commercial crabbing, seasonal tourism, and government support. Median household income trails the Virginia average by a lot. Housing is cheaper than the mainland, but insurance is higher and options are thin. Crime, though, practically non-existent. When everyone knows everyone, crime has nowhere to hide. And surprisingly, residents report high community satisfaction, not because life's easy, because it's clear. You know who you are here. Living on Tangier means choosing friction. Supplies depend on weather. Medical care requires planning. Young people often leave. Not because they hate it, but because ambition has tides too. But those who stay gain something rare: social density without social noise. If your boat breaks, 3 people notice. If you're sick, someone brings food. Privacy is limited, but so is isolation of the emotional kind. The irony? The rest of America debates remote work and digital detoxes while Tangier quietly lives post-algorithm. No hustle culture, no reinvention arc, just continuity. Also, let's talk about weather. Tangier doesn't get bad storms. It gets meetings with the Atlantic. When the forecast says windy, that's code for cancel your expectations. And mosquitoes here don't bite, they negotiate. You don't wave them away, you acknowledge them as stakeholders. People say Tangier is doomed, but then you notice no one's packing. Experts talk relocation until locals talk inheritance. Surprisingly, the threat isn't water, it's whether the outside world decides for them. Tangier Island isn't fighting geography, it's negotiating identity. The residents know the risk. They stay anyway, because for them, isolation isn't abandonment, it's belonging with boundaries. And if you think living on a sinking island is a commitment, wait until you see the next town, where isolation isn't enforced by water, but by choice. Number 9. Monowi, Nebraska. Monowi isn't small-town America. It's single-resident America. Population? 1. That's not a typo, that's a lifestyle choice. Elsie Eiler is the mayor, the clerk, the bartender, and the librarian. She runs the Monowi Tavern, issues her own liquor license every year, and somehow still files the paperwork on time. This town didn't fade out, it distilled. Crime rate? 0. Hard to rob yourself. Rent? Also 0. Elsie owns the property. Cost of living is low, but so is opportunity. The local job market consists of Elsie. The nearest grocery store is about 25 miles away. Emergency services come from other towns. Tourism is occasional but intentional. People show up because Monowi exists, not despite it. And quality of life? Surprisingly stable. No debt spiral, no housing anxiety, no social algorithm. Just days that end when she decides they do. Isolation here isn't lonely, it's exposed. There's nowhere to hide from yourself, no crowd to disappear into, no noise to blame. But that's the trade. Total responsibility in exchange for total autonomy. Monowi proves something uncomfortable. Sometimes community collapses, and one person decides it's still worth keeping the lights on. The HOA meetings must be intense. Motion passes unanimously, every time. Here's the weird part. Monowi still has to operate like a town. Licenses, elections, budget reports, for one human being. Somewhere, a spreadsheet cries itself to sleep. And honestly, that's kind of beautiful. Bureaucracy says you need scale. Monowi says you just need commitment and a pen that still works. Be honest. Could you live alone in a town forever? Yes or absolutely not? And if you think one person running a town is extreme, wait until the next place, where isolation isn't quiet, it's enforced. Number 8. Supai, Arizona. Supai is the only town in America where Amazon Prime would just laugh at you. No roads in, no cars. Just an 8-mile hike, a helicopter, or a mule with better work ethic than most of us. About 200 people live here, deep inside the Grand Canyon, on Havasupai tribal land. Tourists see waterfalls that look photoshopped. Residents see home. Different lens, same place. Crime is extremely low. Tight community, limited access, nowhere to disappear. Jobs? Mostly tribal government. Tourism permits, maintenance, emergency services. It's not a career ladder, it's a duty rotation. Cost of living is deceptively high. Groceries are flown in. Fuel is rationed. Everything costs more because gravity and geography charge interest. Internet is spotty. Emergency response times depend on weather. And rent? You don't rent Supai. You belong to it. Isolation here isn't accidental, it's protective. The tribe limits tourism heavily because too many visitors would break the ecosystem and the culture. That means fewer dollars, but more control. Living in Supai means accepting friction as a feature. You plan ahead, you carry weight, you finish what you start because leaving mid-task is an all-day decision. Surprisingly, that creates calm. When exit is hard, commitment gets stronger. You know a place is serious when your Uber has hooves. Here's what would break most people. Errands. In Supai, I forgot milk isn't a mistake, it's a lifestyle event. You don't pop out, you commit. Meanwhile, people in cities lose their minds if DoorDash takes 42 minutes. Perspective check. Supai doesn't reward impatience, it humiliates it. Quick stat, mail still arrives by mule, not metaphorically, an actual mule. Somewhere, an email just felt very insecure. Remember when we talked about Tangier Island choosing friction? Yeah, Supai looked at that and said, cool, let's remove roads. And if you think Supai is isolated because it's protected, wait until the next town, where isolation isn't about preservation, but survival. Number 7. Oatman, Arizona. Oatman looks abandoned until a donkey blocks traffic like it owns the place. Population hovers around 100 people, depending on season, and about 300 wild burros, depending on attitude. This former gold mining town sits on a winding stretch of old Route 66, cut off just enough to feel forgotten, but not enough to disappear. It sells itself as a ghost town. That's the trick. It's very much alive, just aggressively weird. Crime is low, mostly because everyone knows who stole what, and it was probably a donkey. Housing is limited. Rent is cheaper than nearby tourist hubs, but jobs are creative. Most income comes from tourism, gift shops, staged gunfights, and animal-related chaos management. Cost of living is modest, but infrastructure is thin. Summer temps regularly hit 110 degrees Fahrenheit plus, which explains why ambition here moves slowly. Surprisingly, foot traffic stays high. Oatman didn't survive isolation, it monetized it. Living in Oatman means choosing performance over progress. You don't grow fast, you repeat well. Isolation keeps the town small, predictable, and economically fragile, but also resilient. When highways rerouted traffic away, Oatman leaned into spectacle instead of dying quietly. The consequence? Stability without scale. You won't get rich, but you won't vanish either. It's one of the few towns where livestock has a stronger brand than the residents. Let's talk about the donkeys. They're not cute, they're unionized. They block roads, steal snacks, and stare at you like you don't belong. And the town protects them, because the donkeys are the economy. Imagine living somewhere where the wildlife has better job security than you. That's Oatman. Tangier Island survives with zero crime and zero spectacle. Oatman stays safe by turning chaos into a business model. And if you think a town run by donkeys is strange, wait until the next place, where isolation isn't charming, funny, or profitable. It's mandatory. Number 6. Cerro Gordo, California. Cerro Gordo isn't a ghost town, it's a responsibility. Sitting at 8,500 feet in California's Inyo Mountains, this former silver boomtown is reachable by one narrow dirt road that looks like it actively resents visitors. At its peak in the 1870s, Cerro Gordo had 4,000 people, saloons, murder, and money. Today, one caretaker, sometimes two. Population fluctuates based on who's brave enough to stay the winner. Crime? Zero. unless you count gravity. Rent? Technically free if you're willing to trade comfort for purpose. Cost of living is high in the strangest way. Fuel, water hauling, repairs, and isolation compound fast. Jobs don't exist. Work does. Restoration, security, weather management, fire prevention. This place doesn't offer careers, it assigns duties. Quality of life depends on your tolerance for silence and responsibility. No utilities, no backup plan, just altitude and consequence. Living here means becoming part of the town's nervous system. If something breaks, it's yours. If snow hits, you wait. If fire comes, you fight or you leave forever. The upside? Total psychological clarity. No distractions, no audience. Just time, history, and the slow satisfaction of keeping something alive that history tried to erase. Cerro Gordo doesn't reward optimism, it rewards follow-through. The Yelp reviews would be brutal. Great vibes, no electricity, 5 stars. Here's the thing nobody warns you about. Maintenance. Everything here is old, fragile, and judging you. A loose board isn't a quirk, it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. And every fix takes 3 times longer because you forgot a tool down the mountain. Cerro Gordo teaches you humility through repetition. Picture it, wind howling through empty buildings, your boots crunching on gravel, no notifications, no neighbors, just you, a thermos, and the sound of a place that refuses to fully die. It's peaceful until it's your problem. And if you think living alone with an entire town on your shoulders is intense, the next place figured out how to make isolation feel crowded. Trust me, this next one proves proximity can be just as extreme as distance. Number 5. Hyder, Alaska. Hyder feels like a loophole. It's an unincorporated town tucked into the southeast corner of Alaska with about 50 residents, 0 police officers, and a border that politely forgets to exist. You can only reach Hyder through Canada. There's no US border checkpoint on the way in. The town just trusts you. Bold move. Crime is effectively non-existent, not because it's enforced, because it's remembered. Cost of living is high, Alaska style. Supplies come from Canada. Fuel costs bite. Groceries feel personal. Jobs? Sparse. Some tourism, seasonal fishing, small services. Most people here didn't find work. They found tolerance for uncertainty. Housing is limited but affordable by Alaskan standards. Quality of life depends entirely on your relationship with isolation and weather. Long winters, long memories. Hyder runs on reputation. Mess up once, and congratulations, you've become a story. Without police, the town leans on something older. Social consequence. Everyone knows everyone. Accountability is instant. The trade-off? Freedom without anonymity. Peace without privacy. You gain safety not from systems, but from scale. Ironically, Hyder feels safer than cities with sirens every 5 minutes. It's the only place where no law enforcement somehow translates to don't be an idiot. Let's talk about borders. Hyder's border situation is chaos in khakis. You drive in from Canada like it's a grocery run, but when you leave, surprise, passport time. Nothing like realizing national security starts after you've had lunch. Hyder isn't lawless, it's just trusting, which somehow feels more dangerous and more polite at the same time. Picture this, fog rolling off the mountains, a quiet street, 1 bar open. You hear rain, not traffic. You nod at the same 3 people you saw yesterday. It's calm, almost suspiciously calm. In some cities, police helicopters hover nightly. Hyder stays safe with eye contact and memory. Be real. Could you live somewhere with no police? Yes or no? And if you think a town without law enforcement is extreme, wait until the next place, where isolation doesn't reduce rules, it concentrates them. Number 4. Slab City, California. Slab City is what happens when zoning laws tap out. No rent, no utilities, no government. Just concrete slabs left behind by a World War II military base and a loose collection of people who decided rules were optional. Population floats between 150 and 300, depending on the season, and who still believes in air conditioning. This place calls itself the last free place. That's marketing, and a warning. Crime? Unreported and unpredictable. There's no police presence, so safety runs on reputation and proximity. Cost of living is low in theory, no rent, but high in survival math. You pay for water deliveries, solar setups, fuel, and repairs. Jobs? None locally. Most residents survive on savings, remote income, benefits, or barter systems. Quality of life is extreme. Summer temperatures regularly hit 115 degrees Fahrenheit plus. Medical services are far away. Infrastructure is whatever you build yourself. Slab City strips life down to intention. There's freedom here, real freedom, but it's heavy. Without systems, everything becomes personal responsibility, security, power, community, conflict. Some people thrive in that clarity, others burn out fast. Isolation doesn't heal you here. It exposes you, quickly. It's freedom, but like the trial version. Here's the thing about no rules. Everyone loves the idea until someone else tests it harder than you're comfortable with. Slab City is basically a live experiment in human tolerance. You learn real fast whether you value independence or predictability, because you don't get both. Picture the desert at sunset. No traffic, no emails, just wind rattling scrap metal and a solar panel humming like it's doing its best. It's quiet, wide, almost peaceful. Now remember the stat, 115 degrees, no grid, no backup. Still calm? Exactly. And if you think Slab City is extreme freedom, the next place proves isolation doesn't always erase rules. It sometimes multiplies them. Number 3, Matador, Texas. Matador feels like a town that missed the memo saying it was supposed to disappear. Population, roughly 500. County seat of Motley County. Flat land, big sky, wind that never clocks out. At first glance, it's classic rural Texas. Quiet streets, aging storefronts, Friday nights that don't try too hard. You expect decline. That's the setup. Crime is low, not statistically impressive, just calm. Housing is affordable. Rent and home prices sit far below Texas metros, partly because demand never spiked. Jobs used to be agriculture or nothing. Then Matador leans sideways. Art grants, creative residencies, public murals, adaptive reuse. Cost of living stays modest, but quality of life has quietly improved. Not louder, better. Surprisingly, Matador didn't chase growth. It curated relevance. Living here means trading momentum for intention. You won't get swallowed by opportunity, but you also won't get ignored by it. When something happens in Matador, it matters. The town didn't save itself with nostalgia. It invested in voice that attracts artists, remote workers, and people tired of competing for space instead of meaning. Isolation here isn't about distance. It's about choosing not to rush. It's one of the few places where the art scene is louder than the traffic. Let's talk about wind. Matador has wind like it's trying to prove a point. Hair? No. Papers? Gone. Plans? Reconsidered. You don't fight it, you negotiate. And honestly, after a while, it feels honest. At least the weather isn't pretending to be chill. Where Slab City rejects structure completely, Matador rebuilt just enough to matter and stopped there. And if you think a tiny Texas town reinventing itself is unexpected, the next place takes isolation and turns it into a single building experiment. Yeah, everyone lives together. You'll see. Number 2, Whittier, Alaska. Whittier is what happens when a town decides, you know what? One building is enough. About 270 people live here, and almost all of them live inside the Baggage Towers, a 14-story Cold War-era structure that houses apartments, a school, a grocery store, a post office, and, yes, a church. There's one road in, one road out, a 2.5-mile tunnel that closes at night. Miss it, and you're not late. You're stuck. Crime is low. When everyone shares hallways, secrets don't travel far. Cost of living is high. Alaska rules apply. Goods are shipped in. Weather adds a surcharge to everything. Jobs cluster around the port, tourism, and public services. It's limited, but stable. Housing is scarce, but relatively affordable for Alaska, because living inside your entire town filters demand. Quality of life? Shockingly efficient. You can go weeks without stepping outside. Living in Whittier compresses life. Privacy shrinks. Community expands. Conflict has nowhere to hide, but neither does support. Isolation here isn't about distance, it's about proximity. You can't disappear in Whittier. You're seen, always. And surprisingly, that works. Fewer options, clear roles, less noise. It's like an apartment complex accidentally achieved urban planning. Let's talk about weather. Whittier averages over 200 days of rain a year. That's not drizzle, that's commitment. The sky doesn't threaten rain, it delivers. Every single time. You stop checking the forecast and start checking your emotional readiness. Quick stat, Whittier is one of the wettest cities in the US. Also, quick realization, you now understand why everyone lives indoors. Remember Supai removing roads? Whittier said, cool, let's remove outside. Remember Supai removing roads? Whittier said, cool, let's remove outside. This last town wasn't chosen, it was survived. Number 1. Kalaupapa, Hawaii. Kalaupapa doesn't look isolated, it looks untouched. Tucked onto a peninsula on the island of Molokai, It's surrounded by 2,000-foot sea cliffs on one side and the Pacific on the other. No roads most people can use. Access is by small plane, boat, or mule trail. Population today? Under 10 full-time residents. But that number hides a history that's heavier than the geography. From 1866 to 1969, Kalaupapa was a forced isolation settlement for people diagnosed with Hansen's disease, leprosy.
Kalaupapa to protect many of the residents there who have Hansen's disease.
Thousands were sent here. Most never left. Crime today is basically non-existent. Not because of enforcement, but because the place is sacred, protected, and quiet by design. Jobs? Almost none. The area is now a national historical park, with limited staff and strict preservation rules. Cost of living is high, Hawaii style, but irrelevant. Very few people are allowed to live here. Quality of life is paradoxical, materially limited, emotionally grounded. Here's the twist nobody expects. When isolation was no longer mandatory, many residents chose to stay. Kalaupapa stopped being a prison and became a refuge. Silence replaced fear. Community replaced exile. Living here means carrying memory. You don't move to Kalaupapa for opportunity. You stay for closure, peace, and belonging that doesn't ask questions. It's the quietest place on this list and somehow the loudest historically. The annoying part? People calling Kalaupapa remote paradise. That's like calling a battlefield great views. This place earns its calm. It didn't get it for free. Respect matters here. Quiet matters. And tourism rules are strict for a reason. This isn't content, it's context. Picture standing near the shoreline. No traffic, no playlists, just wind, water, and cliffs that block the rest of the world like a curtain. Now remember, people were sent here and forgotten, and somehow, peace still grew. One former resident said, "The world took everything from us. Then Kalaupapa gave us time." Like the video if this hit harder than you expected. Subscribe, because understanding places like this feels like a survival skill we shouldn't lose. Turns out the most isolated town in America didn't choose isolation. It chose peace, after everything else was taken.